Welcome to Sticks and Stones, this podcast, a new podcast. It's actually my first having a go at this. And perhaps you remember when you were a kid saying sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Well, we'll see how that works out. But when I was a kid, we used to add, when I die, I'll get baked in a pie. And you can think of all the names you called me. So my name's Rory, and I'm an oldie. In fact, I'm getting pretty close to 80, and I guess you can see that if you're looking at it on the camera. But if you're on just listening on audio, maybe give me the benefit of the doubt, eh? So why would an oldie like me do a podcast? It's a good question. My grandkids said, hey, G, you should have a go at that. You should have a go at doing a podcast and give it a crack and see what happens. So if this is a dud, it's just blame the kids, all right? Just blame the kids. To introduce myself, I'm about as Australian as a wombat. And I'm proud to be, not the wombat bit, but the Aussie bit. And I grew up in the bush. You've probably worked that out already by now. Hey, Booker, stop looking at me. You probably worked that out already by now. I grew up at this place called Ogmore on the Styx River. So that's got to tell you something. But I actually got a soft spot for Ogmore, even still to this day. So anyone watching from Ogmore, g'day, how are you? You too can enjoy your life there as much as I did. Just to give you a quick snapshot of life at Ogmore, so that you understand perhaps where I'm coming from now, because I actually think we oldies have got a lot to say, and none of us are saying it. So a quick snapshot would be, Ogmore was a coal mining town, a lot of farmers, Brahmins, just a small town, 2-room school, pub, racetrack. What more could you want? A few churches that didn't seem to open all that often. Well, a fond memory of mine, because even though it was a bit off the beaten track, it was home, it was home, post-war home, house that was pretty humble. And I actually have some great memories, fond memories, and one of them is of a concrete footpath going from the house, back door of the house, down to the outhouse. The concrete was broken, it was pretty wonky, and it was probably about 30 metres from the back door. The word toilet hadn't been invented yet, and so we just called it the lavatory, or more affectionately it was known as the dunny. Beautiful structure, absolutely fantastic. Our dunny was covered in bougainvillea plants that blossomed like magnificently, until one day a cyclone came through, as it often did in those areas, and it lifted the dunny, bougainvillea and all, and deposited it unceremoniously some distance away, and leaving nothing but the pan at the end of the broken concrete path. And the pan's just sitting there, stark naked as it was, at the end of the runway. And of course, everybody wanted to use it at the time. That's who we were. We had no phones, very little electricity, just a couple of light bulbs in the house. But I do remember the smell of the wood stove, and it was kind of a comforting thing, and the smell of the kerosene lanterns. And the kerosene lanterns would throw a shadow on the wall, and we would be forever making little animal pictures on the wall with our hands in the flickering light of the of the kerosene lantern. It was as close as we got to a TV in those days. You know, it was pretty pathetic, but it was fun. It was us. It was who we were. Also, we used to go roo shooting, and only to find out in later years that that I'd shot Skippy, and that was a bit of a crime. Nobody took into account the fact that the kangaroos were eating the farmers' crops, but we all fell in love with Skippy, so that was the end of the roo shooting. And my dad had a milk run. And that was fun, looking back on it. And I'd accompany him on the milk run in the morning. And it was amazing because we did it in a horse and buggy. Can you believe that? I was part of the horse and buggy age. Well, there were cars around, but we didn't have one. We had a horse and buggy to distribute the milk. And we'd go and in a big kind of milk can, we'd have a ladle, and we would ladle the milk at the houses where they left their billy can on the top step. And so we just ladle the milk into the billy can. Hopefully most of them had a lid on the can, or the cat got first dibs, you know. So it was a great life. It was very simple. Our main link to the outside world was a wireless. Seems funny now, but it was about the size of a blooming washing machine. Great big thing, and we'd all huddle around that like it was telling us things from the outside world. And indeed it was. And I remember the reverence with which we would listen to the ABC News. Even the dingoes would be silent, it seemed, during that time. It was kind of like holy ground, you know. It was just like, wow, we're all going to be quiet. And also we heard things like plays and radio shows like Blue Hills. Anybody remember Blue Hills? God, none of you do, because you're all dead, the ones that were so old that we watched that. Blue Hills and Life with Dexter. And you know what? It actually was my invitation that there was more in the world beyond the river and the dirt road, and it was actually an invitation to me that there was a big world out there that I should get to know. So thanks for Ogmore, and thanks for the background that I had. I love it. It was truly Aussie. And so I want to say some things about Australia over the next few podcasts, and this will be just a short one, but I invite some of the other oldies to get in and share your stories. You know, like, they're precious, and they're going to lose them pretty soon, because we're going to be dead for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Well, it was not all bush. It was not all bush. A number of towns and cities across Australia have had the pleasure of my company. My dog's just not going to shift today, so that's the way it is. He wants to be in on it. Yeah, so towns and cities and towns, have lived in a lot of places across Australia, and with my husband and 3 kids, we lived in Papua New Guinea for about 10 years in the jungle, and that was an experience on its own. And apart from that, I've been around the world a couple of times, maybe more, seen the sights, had the lights, because you can actually fit a lot into 80 years. You do a lot in 80 years. My husband, Dave, he's a pretty good bloke, and we've been married for 58 years. We often say that we've been happily married now for 20, but anyway, it's been good, good life. We have 3 kids and 8 grandkids. Most of them are married, and we have 7 great-grandkids. So we'll unravel a whole lot more of that in future podcasts if I dare to do another one. Well, here's the thing. It's not only the grandkids that said, hey, gee, have a go at this, have a go at a podcast. It's not only them. It's that I've been watching now for some decades, and it concerns me at the loss of the culture and the values of Australia. I sit and I think back. It's not that culture shouldn't move on. It's not that we should forever be in a horse and buggy. I love Ferraris and I love life and the bigness of life and the speed and things like that. But it's inevitable that life moves on, and we want it to. We actually want to see progress and things change and so forth. But when the very essence of our values are eroded and we can't actually explain why, or nobody's game to say why, when that's the case, I think we need to address it. We need to have something to say. And because I've watched, it seems to me like over the years or over the decades, our values and our customs have kind of oozed out a bit like slow molasses into the abyss of some kind of global elites and global values, and we've sacrificed too much and gained too little as a result of us letting that go into the abyss of global approval. So I love the globe, I love other nations, but we've got something worth preserving in this place. And so I have to ask the question, what the heck have we been thinking? What are we thinking, Why would we make the best country in the whole flipping world subservient to a mob of international elites that don't know us from a bull's foot? What are we thinking? Seriously, what are we thinking? So it's been a slow demise, and those horrific, unspeakable events that happened in Bondi just recently, I think it might have jerked the slack out of everyone, because we're not just going to sit around and stand for that. The December 17, 2025 kind of ploughed a deep furrow through the heart of Australia. It was so sad. And our collective psyche was just flipping well repulsed, to the extent now that we could actually be looking down the barrel of a cultural revolution, or at least a resurgence to reclaim our identity and our culture. And I think it's time for some of the oldies to speak up, get out of bed, you'll be right. It's time again to be proud of our land. It's time to celebrate our achievements. We're an amazing people. We're one of a kind. We're exceptional. Our contribution to the world has been staggeringly successful. I want to tell you that. Disproportionate in its number compared to the population. We have been disproportionately successful. I think that's amazing. And I want to just say too that our Aboriginal brothers and sisters have influenced and contributed more than what we ever give them credit for. And if you think that because I think Australia's the best, that I'm somehow a racist, well, I've got a whole lot more to say about that, because I'm boasting on my country, and I think it's just one of the greatest places on earth, and I've seen pretty much all of it. It's time to disempower that word racist. It's a guilt-ridden manipulation trip, and it's time we stopped it. And I say we should just joke about it, like bring in the comedians, send in the clowns, rip that nonsense to shreds, because it's intimidated us and caused us to be afraid to speak up just because of a word, racist. Like, stupid, honestly. Well, after that little rant, let me ask you, what is culture? What is culture? It's our way of life. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's how we roll. It's the vibe of the thing, you know. It's the vibe of the thing, and it's us. A culture is deeply, deeply rooted in history, and it's deeply rooted in our combined experience, our common experience, and behaviour patterns emerge as a result of our history and our combined experience, and it creates an identity for us, and that identity builds a unity, and we've always had unity up until recently. Up until recent decades, Australia's been pretty united. It's been at ease, but now it's like, yeah, everybody's opinion has to be counted. Well, opinions are a bit like wheelie bins. We've all got them. They all stink, you know. A culture is to us what water is to a fish. And the fish doesn't know it's in water, it doesn't care, it just is. It just is. And so we roll in the culture. It's about the environment. We don't sit and analyse it any more than a fish analyses the water. It just is. It just is. And we have an amazing culture. An amazing culture. It's like like an in-house joke, really. You had to be there for it. You had to be there. And when others get offended, there's nothing more endearing to us than a healthy insult that actually says we love each other in a funny kind of polluted way. And to take hold of culture, we need to get back to the origins of this land. We need to get back. Did you learn Aussie history at school? Did you learn Australian history? No, you did not. You learnt British history if you're my age, and probably if you're 60 plus, you learnt more about British history. Well, let's go back. Let's go back to the roots of our colony. Our currency was actually a Spanish coin with a hole in the middle of it, and they had stamped on it New South Wales. And it became the currency of Australia, as well as the sterling that came out from England. And it was very different from the sterling. It was pretty bushy looking, pretty average looking. And thus it was not long before the Aussie-born kids were called currency kids, indicating that they were kind of inferior to the sterling, the British-born kids. And so they just became known as the currency lads and lasses. But the currencies responded by calling the English kids the pure merinos. And indeed, what they meant was they were fat, mindless, and imported like the sheep. Sticks and stones may break our bones. Also, the Aussie-borns were nicknamed those who came out from England, they nicknamed them Pommies, P-O-M-E, which meant you were just a prisoner of Mother England. And actually they tried to create an aristocracy at one stage, and in this book from Mel Garvin, he says that they tried to set up a ruling class which became known as the Bunyip aristocracy. I think that's cute. Well, so is it any wonder that Waltzing Matilda is still being sung today? Here's a bloke who would rather jump in the billabong rather than submit to the troopers. 1, 2, 3, down came the troopers. Why would we submit to someone whose sole quality is that they think they're a cut above us? That was the Aussie thing. Our nation was built by average men and women, tradies, truckies, nurses, teachers, all mums and dads, builders, they were the people who made this nation. And I saw a clip on Instagram recently where there was a bloke who was rubbishing the followers of One Nation. I thought that was interesting, calling them uneducated with no degrees and a bunch of nobodies was pretty much what he was saying. So it's no wonder that all the currencies are arising now and wanting to follow One Nation. Mate, you should have had more sense. That man said that that he had degrees. And I want to say to him that though you may have had degrees, you're totally out of touch with the national psyche when you say that kind of stuff. Because even my oven has degrees, mate. Even my oven. So there's a cultural swing back, I believe, about to happen in Australia. Australia's been silent for too long. We've been silent for too long. Institutions, governments, banks, flipping political correctness. I'm sick of political correctness. You can't pick up a turd by the clean end. You know what I'm saying. You just can't. We've been lied to. We've been had net zero by 2030. Oof. A kaleidoscope of discontent has created this unity, caused us to lose our culture. Mass immigration, probably the biggie. People who will not assimilate to our culture, but if we went to their place and to their country, we would be expected to assimilate. And so we flipping well should, or stay home, just stay home. So at our roots, we have values that are steeped in, thank God, in the Judeo-Christian principles. Whether you're religious or not, you can be thankful for that. We'll talk more about that in other podcasts. I just want to say this is a great nation that's had amazing values, and we should be profoundly grateful and have expectations that we can get back to, not to reverse the progress that we've made, but to hold on to what we should have in our culture. More of that next time. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you liked it. If you do, I'm sure there's a button somewhere to press. If not, have a good day.